I love those drums. Yeah, we're back. Morning Buzz with the Energy Guys. Hey, and I have to give credit where credit's due. That little intro you heard there, the drums, was recorded and provided to me by Glenn Barleben. He's our IT manager at Farmers Electric Cooperative. So thanks, Glenn. A shout out to you. Where have you all been? You've been hiding. Seems like I hadn't heard from you in a coon's age. Oh, no, it was me, right? I've been missing in action. Missing in action for about 5 years now, believe it or not. So a little background on Morning Buzz with the Energy Guys. It was the brainchild of myself, Tom Moore at Farmers Electric, with one of my associates here, Jason Lindsay, at the time, and we started a radio program at KCLV 99.1 FM on your local dial here out of our headquarters at Clovis, New Mexico. And we did that show for right at 5 years. We started in September of 2015, believe it or not. But we did 259 shows, and we were proud of that. It aired every Saturday morning at 10 on their FM station, and then aired again on Sunday at 10 o'clock on their AM station at the time. In the meantime, Jason's moved on, and I kind of lost the will to do the radio show by myself. But in the meantime, podcast popularity has really picked up. And I just thought to myself, there was a lot of folks out there that listened to the radio program, and I think they appreciated it. We heard it all the time. I mean, we would be out amongst the community or the communities we serve, and they say, hey, aren't you one of the Energy Guys? And, boy, I missed your show, or it was awesome last week, or whatever the case may have been. If it was before, obviously, we stopped the show, they'd tell us how much they appreciated the show. We had a number of people say, well, we listened to it on Saturday, then we listened to it again on Sunday because we wanted to make sure we didn't miss anything. So we really appreciated that. And we have a Facebook page, Morning Buzz with the Energy Guys, and haven't done a lot on it. I'll start doing more on that. So we're going to link these, and these are going to drop Saturday morning at 7, just like the radio station. But of course, with the podcast, and the availability of those recordings, you can go in anytime and listen to it. So it is a nice option, if you're not available right at 7 on Saturday morning. But recorded live. So yeah, we're gonna have fun. A little more background on the show. It's everything energy efficient is what we started out doing, covering topics such as home energy savings, commercial savings, best and most efficient lighting options, how to pick an AC. We had guests occasionally that would come in, and Andy Cox Refrigeration, HVAC experts out there locally. They were a sponsor from day one. So for 5 years, over 260 shows, they sponsored it. And we had Burns Hardware also was a sponsor from the beginning to the end. So yeah, I'd like to, if Andy or James Burns are listening, I'd like to thank them for that. And there may be an opportunity in the future for some kind of sponsorship where we do some on-air live reads, or promoting local businesses. I like to share information that could be valuable to our listener or our member listener, because we have our members' best interests at heart. I wouldn't be doing this show if I didn't like serving our members at Farmers Electric. Farmers Electric is an electric utility, distribution utility based out or headquartered out of Clovis, New Mexico, with satellite offices in Santa Rosa, New Mexico, and Fort Sumner. We also have warehouses in Logan and San Juan and obviously we have warehouses. What did I say, Logan? Anyway, have warehouses at our satellite office and our headquarters as well. But yeah. Another thing that we like to share are our current trends within the industry. That was a big deal for us, and I'd be remiss if I didn't mention our radio host, Melanie. She's quite the lady. She's now the librarian at Fort Sumner Public Library, but for those 5 years, she was working strictly for the radio station and was our, for lack of a better term, I'll just say co-host. And she emceed the program. Basically, she would ask us leading questions, and we would answer, with a knowledge. I think at the time, Jason and I had probably 20 years combined experience. I'm in my 26th year at Farmers Electric now. So yeah, we had a lot of knowledge that we've gained over the years, and I like to refer myself as the energy guy. So I'd say if anybody's out there and they have a question about efficiency and they want to call the office here at Clovis at 575-762-4466, 575-762-4466. Life hack: when you're giving somebody a phone number on a recording, give it to them twice. Otherwise, they have to go back and listen to it a couple of times. I'm going to give it to you 3 times. 575-762-4466. Ask for the energy guy. And hopefully I'll be able to answer your question. If I don't, I'll fake it. Melanie was great. Jason was great. But life goes on. I still stay in touch with both of those individuals. Jason's farming now, living the dream here in Curry County. And Melanie, again, over in Debaca County, serving the public there. She's been a public servant her entire life. And I know she probably enjoyed that program more than we did, even though I could say Jason and I loved it. But happy to be back on. And without any further ado, I would like to not pick up where we left off, but I'd like to probably review what we'd started in the beginning, and that was, where does my energy dollar go? What's the big consumers? And so I've got a pie graph that I'll put on our page again. But I think I put it on there about a year ago, but I haven't done much again on our Facebook page, Morning Buzz with the Energy Guys. But it shows you a breakdown of several different categories. Obviously, to me anyway, maybe not to you, but the big user, as a matter of fact, it averages 50% of your monthly usage goes to heating and cooling. Does that make sense? Yeah, 50% of the average monthly usage goes to heating and air conditioning. That's not month to month. In the wintertime, if you're electric heat, it may be 75% of your bill. So when you get that real high bill, a lot of usage, and you're saying, or asking yourself, wow, where did all this usage go? I didn't do anything different. Well, you might not have done anything different, but the weather did. It got colder. And your house was trying to continue to keep that temperature at the ambient setting, whatever that may be. We suggest 68 degrees 68 degrees in the wintertime. And this is not something we made up. That actually comes from the Department of Energy, United States Department of Energies. And they suggest 68 degrees in the wintertime and 78 degrees in the summertime. Now, according to the National Food and Energy Council, 15-degree differential from outside and inside, average. Keep in mind, when I throw numbers out here, doesn't mean that everybody may agree. It means that somebody with a degree and a bunch of little letters after the name, pretty smart individuals, came up with these numbers. But it makes sense. 15 degrees in some areas, it's pretty comfortable. Say in the Midwest, where where 90 degrees may be their high, a home inside the home at 75, the 15-degree differential may be comfortable. Go from going to 90 to 15 degrees. Now around here in our part of the world, or our neck of the woods, as we say, eastern New Mexico, a 15-degree differential may be pretty hot. That would be a 100-degree day and 85 degrees inside. We don't even suggest that. It doesn't make a lot of sense. I've always said, my wife calls me the energy Nazi. I'm not proud of that, but I think I've saved us some money over the years. But what I don't spend in electricity, she spends at Amazon. So it's kind of a give and take. I've been happily married for 38 years, guys, if you're listening. But no, 78 degrees, that's a 22-degree differential if it's 100 degrees outside. And then if you add a comfortable downdraft with a ceiling fan or some kind of fan, it's blowing that air, which will feel cool to your skin, and basically act as an evaporative cooler. You're going to start to sweat a little bit, and then the air hits you with a little force with a fan or a downdraft from a ceiling fan, and that evaporative process starts taking place, and it'll cool you off a little bit. And fans, just a fan, they're not big users. I mean, they use very little electricity, and I would suggest I wouldn't have them going in every room in the house because it doesn't make sense if you're using them. I don't think, anyway, being a guy that's been in this for a quarter century. I would only use those if you're in occupied rooms. So where are you spending your evening hours? Where's your television? You're probably sitting there watching some program, and that ceiling fan is the one I would have moving, or a box fan or whatever you may have, an oscillating fan. And again, they use very little electricity. So in the wintertime, you have your ceiling fan turns a different direction. And this gets me every time, just like it does everyone, and I have to revisit it. But I haven't revisited it today. I believe your ceiling fan, if you're looking at it in the summertime, should be moving in a clockwise direction. And I will correct myself next episode or on our Facebook page if that's wrong. And counterclockwise in the wintertime. And how do you know if they're turning the right direction? In the summertime, you should be able to stand directly underneath the fan and feel the downdraft blowing on you. In the wintertime, if it's turning the correct direction, which I believe is counterclockwise again in the wintertime, it will be pulling the air up high to the ceiling, down the ceilings, and down the side walls of that room. If you're standing right underneath it or sitting right underneath it, you shouldn't really feel the draft. The only place you might feel the draft is if you've got a couch or a chair up against a wall. You may feel a draft, but of course, you don't want it blowing so hard that it really creates a draft that you're going to feel. In the summertime, you do. You really want to feel the draft in the summertime. But in the wintertime, you don't necessarily want to feel a draft. You want it just to the process of pulling that heated air up and distributing it equally in the room that you're occupying. I hope that makes sense for everyone. And I think our idea behind the pie chart and explaining these one at a time was a way we could set up the next show. You know, we might have a little cliffhanger and say, you know, tune in next week and, you know, hear what's number 2 on the energy, the pie chart for the what uses most energy. That's not much of a cliffhanger, but for us geeks, it worked pretty good. And then the idea was that we'd go on and we would spend that whole first half hour show. Excuse me. Some of them turned into an hour. We're going to try to really keep these close to 30 minutes or less. Occasionally, I will try to bring in a guest, so it truly is Morning Buzz with the Energy Guys, plural. But right now, I'm riding solo until we decide. And you know, we may want to let you know what's going on at Farmers Electric. Maybe some things that are coming down the pike that we feel like you our listeners, members, need to know. And this is a quick way of getting out information, and I like it. For instance, you know, I'll tell you right now, I'm just kind of doing this show on the fly because it's a reintroduction of a show we did, you know, 5 years ago. But we've got what I call the trifecta going on right now at Farmers Electric here in Clovis. And it's, you know, in hindsight, sometimes you think, well, maybe we shouldn't have done them all 3 at the same time. But, you know, at the same time, we did them all at the same time, and then we'll be done with them at the same time. And, you know, why put off something till tomorrow that we could do today? I've procrastinated some of my life, but as I get older, I tend to have been able to overcome some of that. And I came by it honestly. My dad was a procrastinator, but anybody that knew him knew that. But what's the trifecta? Well, we change billing systems, and that's a big deal. I mean, there's a learning curve. So we went from what we used to be UP and Meridian to NISC, and that's kind of an industry trend right now that we've noticed that a lot of folks are going with NISC. UPN and Meridian served us well. SCDC is another name we called them. It wasn't necessarily that we didn't like what they provided. We just found a company that provided something different and could correlate a little more closely with some of the new technologies that we were rolling out at the same time. So billing was one of them. And we've been promoting Smart Hub. And I probably should have that in front of me where I can tell everybody to go look. But if you go to smarthub.com on your phone or and you search FECNM, FECNM, of course that stands for Farmers Electric Cooperative New Mexico, you can add the Smart Hub program, and it's really handy. There's gonna, once we get all the new meters integrated and SCADA integrated and things like that, it's going to be an amazing tool. And so you'll be able to view your bill. You'll be able to see your daily usage. You'll be able to monitor your daily usage day to day, instantaneously. 3 o'clock in the morning, if you're an insomniac and can't sleep, or maybe you're working that second shift, and you're awake, you can go to Smart Hub and look at your Farmers Electric count. What's kind of nice about it is two telecoms that serve our area and provide internet service, some of the best internet service in the United States, maybe in the world. Plateau, with a parent company, E&MR Cooperative. They're a telephone cooperative, but they have a subsidiary, Plateau. A lot of you are Plateau customers. Plateau's been on Smart Hub for a long time, so you can go in there and just, if you already have the Smart Hub app, you can add a utility. And Smart Hub is a utility grade app. And so at that point, you would go into your Plateau app or E&MR app and just add utility and then search for FECNM. Also, within our service area, particularly around Melrose, they have Yucca Telecom. And if you're a customer of theirs and you're already using Smart Hub, you can go in there and add utility and search FECNM, and just add a utility. And so it's just you're just one click away from monitoring both your internet and your electric usage. So it's really handy. So the second part of that trifecta is new meters. So we're rolling out 14,000 new meters, and that process is going to take a year and a half, give or take. We've started in the Clovis area, so for you folks in the Clovis area, we've tried to get the word out. We will be sending out a postcard next week. So that'll be the week of June 22nd. Sometime that week, we're going to send out a postcard. We're a little behind the 8 ball on that one because we started the conversions about 2 weeks ago. So some of you members have already seen the gentleman from Allegiant. That's who we've partnered with on the meter change outs. And protocol for them is they try to make contact at your house. They'll knock on the door, ring the doorbell, whatever. Say, hi, I'm so-and-so with Allegiant here working with Farmers Electric, and we're here to change your meter. And we need the new meters because they're solid-state meters, communicating meters. So they're very much like the meters we already have out there, where we can read your meters remotely and have some data. These new meters are chock full of extra data that can help you, the member, be more efficient because you can monitor your power through apps such as Smart Hub, and be able to manage your energy. This will give you the opportunity or empower you to have more control or management of your utilities. And it's slick. I'm telling you. I mean, I'm kind of old-fashioned. I'm kind of conservative-minded, and that'll probably come out during the program. You'll figure out where I'm at on the political spectrum a little bit. I try to stay fairly neutral, but I'm in line with most Eastern New Mexico folks, as far as that goes. But conservatives don't like change. Typically, they don't. I know that's a generalization, but I think that's true. And in this case, it's true. We used to have the old analog meters when I first started. And shortly thereafter, like within that first year of my employment, we rolled out some meters, and they were analog, and they had a counter on them. And they could count pulses. And each time there was a revolution, and this isn't actually, perfect explanation of it, but it would calculate a kilowatt hour. And then when we we could actually reach out through communications over power line carrier, and we could communicate with that meter. And this is 25 years ago. We're communicating with meters, being able to read them remotely in the office. So we were able to cut back on our meter reading, our in-person reading. So it saved us money. And by the time we get these fully deployed, we won't have a meter reader position anymore. We'll have a meter tech, or that person will be phased into another role within the cooperative, probably still within the metering department, but they won't have to be going on these, driving 2 hours to read a meter or meters. So it's a far more efficient process. So we're able to save money. And I was told the second day I worked here, because I asked about some expenditure, I said I thought we should maybe get the guys mechanical pencils instead of pencils we sharpen. This is how far long ago this was. And our general manager, talk about a conservative, he said, no, they're fine. And he said, I just want you to remember this in your position. Every dollar that leaves this building is the members' money. And it was like a light bulb went off in my head. I understood the cooperative model. We're using your money. We don't have any money. It's all on loan from our members. Excuse me. We sell at cost electricity. And I say that because after all of our expenses for the month are spent, or for the year, let's just say a year, because that's when we pay back capital credits once a year. Any margins or positive revenue, profit, is given back in the form of a capital credit allocation. So that's why we say, or can say, that we sell at cost electricity. So the third part of the trifecta is SCADA. And I've known what SCADA, SCADA, stands for, but I'm not going to pretend I remember right now. So for our next show, I'll have that for you. But SCADA is pretty neat. It's a new level of communications. I mean, it's sectionalized equipment talking to other sectionalizing equipment along the thousands of miles of line that we have, and the number in a big number of substations we have, all communicating, and or breakers. That's part of the system as well. Repeaters, and they're talking to each other constantly, pinging each other. And the idea is, when we have an outage, our SCADA operators can look at that, and they can pinpoint that quickly, and they can actually find a fault almost before we even know there's an outage. Before members called in and said, "Hey, my lights are off. I don't have any electricity." It'll send out a preemptive message before anybody calls in and said, we had a fault right here in this general area. So we're going to be able to tell our guys in the field, our linemen, hey, we've got a fault in this general area. This is where you can start looking. So what it's going to do is cut back, we believe, on outage time and restoration of your power. We're gonna cut back on that. What might have been an hour outage, might turn into a 30-minute outage, depending on. And of course, that's just for instance. No promises, because sometimes it takes a while. If it's weather related, we may lose several poles, and it's going to take a while to rebuild that portion of the system. But if it's just a breaker that might have operated and the circuit stayed open, then our guys can go find out right there where this fault was picked up through SCADA and communications, and they'll be able to look at it, and hopefully they'll find it more quickly that way, and that'll be a little more of a convenience for you and cut down on overtime man hours for us. So it's a win-win. But that's the trifecta: the new billing system, new meters. Again, they're solid state communicating meters, very similar to the ones we already have out there deployed. But these new meters will just give us more information. I can't believe it, but we've done 30 minutes. And here's your cliffhanger. Tune in next time to Morning Buzz with the Energy Guys, because I'm going to have the second piece of that pie. And what we've already heard today, that heating and air conditioning is the 50% of your bill on average. What's the next piece? Should have grabbed a drink before I started this. Folks, I appreciate you tuning in and listening to the podcast. I'm excited that in the future we're going to have guests, and I'll be a little better prepared next time. And there's still some things I want to talk about next week that relate to the 5 years and the 260 shows we did, because it was a neat time, and we enjoyed it immensely. And hopefully you'll be listening to us on a weekly basis. We're going to put a link for future shows on our Facebook page, Morning Buzz with the Energy Guys, and we will likely put it on the Farmers Electric Cooperative page, Clovis. There's more than one Farmers Electric in the United States, but we're Farmers Electric Cooperative Clovis, or Farmers Electric Cooperative Inc. of New Mexico, to be precise. But yeah, we will try to get those links out to you. I think we're going to link those in the beginning anyway to our YouTube channel we have. And the YouTube channel also has some neat stuff we can talk about next week too, that relates to this new billing system, NISC and Smart Hub. And we're going to talk about going paperless, which will save you time and money, and will save us, because time is money, and it'll save us on paper and postage. And it's, again, just a good all-around thing. Save a few trees while we're at it. Hope you've enjoyed our show. And again, thank you, Glenn Barleben, for all your skill in the drum set. And we will see you next time on Morning Buzz with the Energy Guys.